What's up, me Raandigars? We're back with another Persona video. Now, I found this best Persona main games tier list maker, and I've made this video before, but now that I've completed Royal, and I'm not talking about alternative, so like I haven't played P3, I'm playing P4, but like I played Golden, I played Fast and Portable, so I found this. I'm just gonna rank them later on S2 A, B, C, D tier, but I want to talk about the fact that, okay, that's not what I meant, but as I've completed Royal, I have completed all the mainline Persona games except for their like alternative versions, I guess. Technically, the only one I feel like I should play is the PS1 Persona 1 game because it's different. But you know what? Let's start. Also, this is going to be overall quality of the game. I'm going to make where I'll rank them, and I'm going to make where I'll actually talk about the story. Like, I'll just rank them on the story. But, like, we're going to talk everything here. So, at number 7, I want to put Persona 1. Just for reference, I have played the PSP version of Persona 1. I'll tend to tell which versions I played, so people don't get confused. I would say Persona 1, let's talk about the good first. Persona 1 has a really good story. I think, by the way, spoilers in this video, just pointing out there for every Persona game, or the mainline ones. I love Persona 1's story. I think Maki is a really good character. She's one of the best Persona characters in my opinion, as of yet, as many Persona games I played. I think the two roads to both stories are good. The Snow Queen quest in terms of story is okay, but I really like the characters, the villains in that game, and the character interactions in that game. Whereas the Sebek route, S-E-B-E-C route, I like the story more, but the characters, except for Maki, Naoya somewhat is good. He has some really like decent, like with his shadow, he has a good interaction, and like him protecting Maki and stuff, going with Maki alone in that dungeon. So like the Sebek route, I'll say has a good story, but the Snow Queen quest, like the characters are way too good. Now I think that's one point I should talk about, but I'll talk about why I think this game is down below is because of the gameplay. All right, had to pause there, but the Persona 1 gameplay, I feel like now when they first released it for the PS1, I get it. PS1 games were like that. And there was like Atlus's like first Persona game. They were like understanding the market and stuff like that. But when this game released on the PSP, they upgraded the graphics. The cutscenes look gorgeous in the remake. It's a remake. They did not change the gameplay that much. Now I do understand. Back then, like, here's the thing. Back then, P3 was the big jewel for them. But at the same time, they were catering towards Persona 1 and 2 fans because they were like, hey, like, I know P3 did help us from bankruptcy, but like, we have fans for these games and we should cater to them. So when they released the remake, they didn't touch on the gameplay that much. And they even said in an interview or in like in an article that, yeah, they did that because they wanted to cater to all fans. I do respect that ideology and understand that from a business point of view. But at the same time, I feel like this game really has issues in terms of gameplay. A lot of people talk about the first person, but I don't really have issues with that. People just say they're running too old. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, sure, for the first 1 hour maybe. But then you get the hang of it. Like, it's not that big of an issue. The major issue I have with gameplay is that the bosses in this game, at least, they aren't that tough. But the random encounters are annoying. I don't mind random encounters coming like one after another, but the problem is that the game has this weird unbalance with like a lot of skills. Like a lot of skills can be stacked, so ailments can be stacked. So the enemies are, I mean, they're creative. I'll give Atlus that. The enemies would have charm, multiple of them, and one of them would have the big attack. So the enemies would be like charming you for multiple turns, making you sleep, and do different ailment stuff, and then just kill you. That is a major issue, and the game is like, yeah, laughing at your face. The other main issue is the Hamma and Mudo skills, for some reason, too broken in this game, and there's no counter to them. So basically, once you're getting Hama and Muro, you keep on taking damage until the fight is over, which is annoying. You'll keep on taking damage after every like turn, you know, like after every, how should I say, phase or turn, which is annoying, which is genuinely annoying, and it will kill you. It's not to a point where you'll have 1 HP and live. It will kill you. So these gameplay issues are very common. One of the major I have, though you can like use agility stat and make sure that doesn't happen, is the enemy, because it's a random encounter, the enemy can ambush you and kill you easily, and you can't do anything about it. So you get ambushed by enemy, and the game will be like, oh yeah, you're dead. You might live, but you're dead. So a lot of gameplay issues, and I think this is one of the reasons I think this game is down here. Good story, but gameplay really gets to it. Alright, let's talk about Innocent Sin. Persona 2 Innocent Sin, I would say, out of all these Persona games, still has the best story, even after playing Royal. I think they just nailed everything. I think the best characters are in Persona 3, but everything else, like the story, the execution, the characters are really great, and like everything is just chef kiss. Now you might be wondering, why is it at 6? Now I played the PSP version of this game. Now the PS1 version is like challenging, but the PSP version, they toned down difficulty a lot. So obviously that's my experience here. And the same with Persona 1, I played the PSP version, so a lot of people might say the OST and stuff, but the Persona 2, this is a really good movie, if I have to describe it in like short words. The reason for that is, the game is too easy. I have a playthrough for it if you want to see. And the game is too easy. 99% of the time, you are autoing the game. 99% of the time, you're just autoing the game, which I feel like is not fun, because even though the story is amazing, you're just sitting there moving through dungeons and pressing the auto button, which I think is for triangle. Yeah, you just kept pressing the auto button. There are rare cases where you might die, but at the same time, it's like out of like 500 fights, you'll die once. Like, this game is too easy, and it shouldn't have been too easy. They could have done a lot with this stuff. And when I talk about Eternal Punishment, I will bring this up, why this created some issues for Eternal Punishment. Alright, so next I want to keep 2 games. So, okay, I messed up. I should have like thought of this through. But I want to keep Persona 3 FES and Portable together. I have like, okay, people fight over Persona 3 and Portable. In my opinion, they are literally... I messed up again. Wait. 1, 2, 3... Yeah, I gotta... Sorry, this is very unprofessional of me. But okay, people talk about Persona 3 Portable and FES and compare to each other. In my opinion, these two are like just the same game. Like, not the same game, but these two, one game ups the other, but then in other cases, the other game ups the other. Let me talk about it. Persona 3 Portable, because of the PSP's limitations, does not have cutscenes. It's a fully visual novel game. Now, I respect that, but I feel like as a visual novel, it doesn't fully like take advantage of that. A good visual novel has a lot of facial expressions for characters, which this game only has, I would say, for Shinjiro. Some of the C's members show from PS2 and some here and there. The confidants have basically the same faces, or social links have basically the same faces, and that's just like, okay. The new social links and like some of them that had faces in the PS2 versions had them, but like if you go to like the old couple, they basically have one face, one facial expression throughout the social link. Sure, there's some like sound, like how should I say, like emotional, like these effects there, but at the same time they have the same facial expressions. And the Portable, I think, has issues. A good visual novel always has like pictures and stuff to like really show what's happening. This game just does not have that. It just describes. And I would say this game uses two cutscenes 2 times. One at the start with the First Awakening and one at the end with the Great Seal. they could have used some cutscenes here and there, you know? Like, they could have added Shinji's death as a small cutscene. They could have added, like, Ryoji's first time, like, fighting Aigis as a small first cutscene. And, like, they could have just reused some of the animations, like, of Takaya shooting, or reused some of the animations with, like, Aigis using Athena against Ryoji. They could have done stuff like that. They chose not to. There are a few times they use pictures, but they're from, like, already from the animated cutscenes of Fez. That's fun, but I feel like they could have done a lot with this game that they chose not to. Also, this game cuts content because of the PSP's limitations, the Abyss of Time, the Answer episode, I guess. Now, they do add the Abyss of Time in, like, as a side content where you have to do trials and then fight Margaret. So they did add it, but that's it. Now, this was the first game that, oh, not the first game with a female protagonist, but, like, this is a game that introduced FemC, which I really want in Reload. 31st. It's today. We're gonna get, right now it's 5:24 a.m. my time. I'm gonna get 6 p.m. Nintendo Direct, hoping we get FemC for Reload. I think FemC is an amazing addition. I think FemC has the best social links still, in my opinion. Like, the set of social links. And FemC, her character is really good. They changed the story a bit for her character, like, just a bit. I do like they go to Inaba. There are a lot of P4 references in this game. I don't mind moving around using the, like, as a, like, touch and point and click adventure game. I don't mind that. And I feel like because this game does not have quick travel, though I think this has, but, like, the PS2 version didn't have. So it's not that big of a deal. You can just move around that much. You can move around Taurus freely, but I feel like the camera angle, it's pretty jarring. It does not work for me. I think a camera angle like this, and the camera angle where the camera is behind instead of the top, that's the behind camera is way better. And the game has that. If you complete, like, a section of Taurus and you reach the stairs, the game has that. I feel like that camera angle 24/7 would have worked. Maybe with some, like, tweaks, because Taurus has, like, really scary corners that can get you. But that's why I have portable here. Now let's talk about Fez. I feel like people, like, I want to say this very, like, not in a hate way, but people overblow or overhate the difficulty of Fez. I feel like people look at Fez and see that you can't control your party members and think this game is impossible to end, impossible to complete. And to that, I say that's wrong. Fez is an amazing game, but at the same time, I do understand some issues with that gameplay mechanic, going to the tactics menu and making characters do stuff, because there are two characters I would say really get destroyed, really do not work well with this gameplay. Akihiko and Aigis. Now, if you've not played the PS2 version of Persona 3, or the PSP, Akihiko and Aigis are, like, broken in a sense that Akihiko has all the debuffs, Matarunda, Masukunda, Rakunda. It's not Debiliate. It's not the Debiliate technique, but, like, they have them separately. Aigis has the opposite, Matarukaja, Marakukaja, Masukukaja. It's not Heat Rise Up, just they're separate. So the problem is that the tactics menu has a heal and support selection. When you press that, now, normally, if a character has one support skill, they'll use that. They'll either heal, Marakukaja, stuff like that. The problem with Akiko and Aigis is that it's a coin flip. They could do Matarukaja. Aigis can do either Matarukaja, Masukukaja, or Marakukaja, and same with Akiko can do Mataronda, Marakunda, or Masukunda. In a lot of cases, when you're getting to a Taurus fight, those are tough. You want to scout. You want to scour. Okay, you'll most probably, if you're over leveled, unless you're over leveled, most probably you're just gonna lose the fights. So you gotta sit down, scout everything. Okay, look, like, what works well against this enemy. So what you want Akiko to do is do Mataronda or probably Masukunda, and what you want Aigis to do is either Masukukaja or Marakukaja. But instead, if one of them does Marakunda or Matarukaja, there are issues with that, because now you're in range, like, the enemy can one-shot you. You're in range of dying because of that. So these issues do arise. Answer, I would say a lot of people call the answer pretty difficult. I would say it is. It's toxic difficulty. It's not as bad, but a lot of enemies have evade fire and stuff like that. It's basically wait hitting weaknesses unless the enemies don't dodge that. So I understand why people don't like the answers difficulty. There is toxicity to it. It's not that bad like Persona 1 in my opinion, but it is pretty annoying and there's a lot of RNG involved. This game has cutscenes, looks beautiful, plays fun. I would say this is the first Persona game, so there's like no, like this game feels slow in terms of like moving through cutscenes. So if you're doing New Game Plus, this game will take still a significant amount of time. Me personally, I like FES over Portable, but at the same time, I understand people why they like the gameplay aspect. Okay, one thing I forgot to add is that there are duo skills where you can use two personas and do more skills, like Orpheus and Upstairs has Cadenza. There's like Armageddon. There's like other skills. In Portable, these skills are cards. So I don't like that feature that they're cards because they're grindable cards. In FES, they work like this, that if you have two personas that can do it, then is the only time you can do those skills. So if you have Orpheus and Upstairs, you can do whatchamacallit is Cadenza. Same with other skills like Scarlet Havoc and stuff like that. So I like that feature way more because it adds like strategy. Like maybe because Cadenza I've been using till end game. Like that's a really good technique. Even though my Orpheus and Upstairs were not that much leveled up, they were like at what, 1 at Orpheus at 2 and Upstairs might be 3 or 5. They were like somewhere on that. So I like Cadenza as a skill, and it adds strategy, and it also adds the fact that you can use all personas, which I think is amazing. But then making this cards, and then in Reload they made this TUGs. I just realized Reload is not here. Making them TUGs is, I just don't like that feature. Oh my god, it just suddenly appeared here, Reload. I should have checked. I was like, is there a guy missing? And it was Reload. But now that we're talking about Reload, I gotta put it above. Like, yeah. Now, I think Reload is an amazing game. It's a really good remake. I think people say too much for the fact that, oh, this like the green and stuff like that. I think Linked Episodes is like one of the best additions in a Persona game. I really love it because it breeds new room, especially for remakes, and it can help characters that were not that good to be like get better. Characters that were already good get even better. But I feel like Shuji and Jin, though Shuji, I think they did up him a bit. They made him better. Like he's worse, but now he was worse, but he's now less worse. But then Jin is like, yeah, we're not gonna talk about Jin in this video. Don't worry. Everybody knows I hate Jin. So the thing I have issues with is the gameplay of Reload. I think, okay, they added the shift mechanic, which is basically the baton pass from Persona 5 Royal. They added TUGs, which is a better version of Showtime from Royal, because Showtimes I feel like in a lot of cases is random, but TUGs add more strategy because you can like keep them up and it's like personality based and stuff like that. That's good. Really good. The story and characters are amazing, but should I give that to Reload or should I give that to the earlier P3? But again, it's P3. The story and characters are amazing. The graphics are chef kiss. This, I think, currently is the best looking Persona game. People can hate on it, sure. Now let's get to the other issues I have with this game, which I think makes this game a bit disappointing. So this game released. Now, who should be the what gameplay wise? What game should we compare this to? Like Persona 3 Reload should be compared to Persona 1, Persona 2 in terms of gameplay. These two, these three, or Royal? And the answer is simple. When you're comparing the gameplay of Reload, you should compare it to Royal, because this is the new shiny Persona hotness currently. We are gonna get a revival, but currently this is the new shiny hotness for when it comes to like Persona games. So if we're comparing its gameplay, we gotta compare it to Royal. But I still think Royal has the best gameplay. And that's where I think Reload disappoints me. It's an amazing game, but there are a lot of features. A lot of like Makoto has like TUGs are his duo persona skills from the old game, P3. A lot of them are missing. Episode I guess gets some of them, but then still a lot of them are missing, but only I guess gets them. My other issue with this game is this game does not have follow-up attacks, which is weird. Episode I guess linked episodes are not voiced, though. That's sure. Let's get out of that. Let's get it out of the way. They're not different. This game does not have different weapon types. They removed them for portable. Sure, let's live with that. The other issues I have is that when P4 Golden got remastered, there's a way you can replay social links. If you go to Narukami's room, there's a book there you can replay social link events. This game does not have that. Now, I will say, in Royal, my favorite edition is Thieves' Den, because you can do a lot of stuff in there, and it's just plain fun. In my opinion, Reload does not have anything similar to that, which, okay, I get it. They don't need to do that, but they should have like given us ways to look at like past cutscenes and stuff like that, especially since Golden has that feature in like there's like a TV screens going on where you can see everything. You can replay social links in Narukami's room. Golden has that feature. Royal has a lot of features with cutscenes and stuff like that. You can listen to music in Thieves' Den. I don't know why they didn't add that. Who knows? And I will say this, it's possible, let's see what Revival does. It's possible this Persona game, I feel like Reload would age terribly because of gameplay. Sorry for the background noise. Because of gameplay. Let's hope that's not the case, but let's hope that Revival is really good. Alright, at number 3. Persona 5 Royal. When I did last time, I didn't play Royal, so I put OGP5 and I reversed the order. I think OGP5 is better than Reload. I guess the honeymoon phase is over. But let's talk about Royal. I think Royal still has some issues in terms of story because it does have the P5 story. So those issues do persist, but let's talk about them. The story from, let's just say, start from Yaldabaoth feels a bit disconnected and feels like, okay, this thing is over, let's get to the next thing. This thing is over, let's get to the next thing. It doesn't feel connected. At the end, when you're in Mementos, the depths of Mementos, before the Holy Grail, Yaldabaoth whole situation, they try to connect the story, but I feel like they still didn't do a very good job with it. So I was like, yeah. Now let's talk about Royal. The Royal content is really good in terms of story. I think they could have improved on it. But I think the Royal content is good with story, but the characters of the Royal content, by that I mean Joker, Akechi, Sumire, and Maruki. These 4 are the reason I feel like the Royal content is really good. Each of those characters complement one another because I like how Maruki has this different ideology, and then Akechi is pointing out constantly why Maruki's ideology sucks. So I really like that argument. Like there's like this, they're complementing one another. And then we have Sumire in the middle who's like questioning this, like, do I want this or do I want that? That is something really good. And then we have Joker who's like trying to save his friends, and he's like he's that guy. He has that aura. Like in Royal, they give Joker that aura and hype moments, and he just does not get affected by Maruki. Sure, there are moments where you get decisions to make the bad ending, but you know what I mean. And it's obvious that they made Akechi. This game I played, and it's obvious that the reason Akechi was brought back to life is because they saw how famous Akechi was, and they were like, yeah, damn, we want to use this in a future spin-off. We're gonna do this. If we ever use this in a future spin-off, we need Akechi there because they know he's famous. They did not expect a villain to be that famous, but they did. My issues with Royal, there's some issues with gameplay. I still think this is the best Persona game in terms of gameplay, but it does add too much. Let me explain. I don't like the blowing up enemies, the enemies that come out and if you don't beat them quickly, they blow up. I think when they were making it, they thought it would add challenge, but it makes the game easier because the enemies, you can beat them and they blow up easy. The other issue, I do not like the environment change that Jose does. Like he changes the mementos where you can get, like, if you collect stamps, you can just change the exp buffs, the money buffs, the item buffs. Like the item boost is small, but it like easier to find the stamps. But like then you can do like money and exp. The exp, I would say the exp boost is way too broken. It gives a lot of exp when you do it, and it's way too broken. And I feel like eventually when you get the quick kill skill, it's just GG. Like the game becomes too easy. And that's the other thing. I feel like now I am like getting the grasp of this game. I feel like now I should talk about it. Is that if they're planning to re-release like Golden and Royal type games, either do them separate DLCs or balance the difficulty. Because when I was at the final fight, I had every tools to make Joker the most broken character ever. Everybody was level 99 because it's easy to do. I had so many different personas, Yoshitsune, and I even had Izanagi no Okami no Pikaru, and not from the DLC compendium. I fused that guy. So now we have like so many tools at our disposal, and they create a fight that has some creativity to it in the Maruki fight, but it's too easy. You can easily win because you're a much higher level. It's not that you have so much tools to your disposal. It's easy to win. You have a lot of confidants completed. You have like third awakenings and second if you have the second awakenings and you have the third awakenings, you have everything at your disposal. The final boss can't do anything. And I feel like that's the major issue where the difficulty just goes, okay. And in Royal, them adding like stamps, the final fight with Yaldabaoth, the OG P5 final boss, it's too easy as well. The game just becomes too easy to a point where it's like, damn, like, what is the point? It's not as easy as Innocent Sin, but like, it's still pretty easy. I would say the bosses in this are the closest of what I want in Persona game bosses having gimmicks. But in this game, the boss is just, like, the game tells you what to do to the bosses. So, alright. Let's go to number 2, and I guess let's just add number 1. Alright, Persona 4 Golden. I think this game probably has the second best story in a Persona game. I love this game. The villain in this game, Adachi, is I think one of the best characters out there, and probably the best villain. I'll still think on this. You know, not definitely putting it down. Yes, he's the best villain. No, I'll think on this. I have some issues with some characters. I think Chie, Yosuke, Rize, and Kanji. Wait. Chie, Yukiko, Rize, and Kanji, they don't add too much to the story. Their dungeons are fine, fun, but in terms of like progressing the story, it's obvious that Naoto, Yosuke, and Narukami are progressing the story, and Teddy has his plot going on, which is amazing. That's just opinion, I guess, but I mean, all of this is opinion, but I still think that Golden has the best set of songs. The social links, some of them are really good. They're fine. They're good, but I feel like the party member social links are like amazing. The other social links they're good, decent, you know. There's the Fox, I guess, is the worst one and stuff like that. It's not that big a deal. The gameplay is really good. I think they balance the difficulty somewhat well, even though you can make this, like, you can make your character broken. This game also has the same issue I think Royal has, but it's still better. Because I feel like Murray's dungeon, they did well, is because every time you fight, you lose like a lot of SP points and health. Naoto is good for that dungeon because of insta-kills, but I think that is a good way to balance it out. And I think the Murray's boss fight is really good because it gives you like red paprikas all around the dungeon and other paprikas to remove resistance from different elements, and Murray has resistance from elements, every element. So that is something I really love. And they balance Yoshitsune, even though I'm sorry, Yoshitsune is really, really, really good, but end dungeons tend to try to counter him. This game is really good. Story is amazing. The remaster version adds a lot of quality of life changes, which is amazing. But now let's talk about number 1. I think Persona 2 Eternal Punishment is the number 1 Persona game, and I'll tell you why. I'll say the story is really good. It's not number 1 or 2. I think this Innocent Sin is 1, this is 2, this is 3. And like the story is really, really good. But they like The reason I don't think is the best story is because this is the only game where there's not a reveal villain. Because you already know who the reveal villain is because it's a direct sequel to Innocent Sin. You're just waiting for him to show himself. Tatsuya is like one of the best characters because of Eternal Punishment. He is just too good in this game. He is amazing. Now, people talk about the difficulty of this game. I believe the reason this game is difficult is not because this game is difficult, is because Innocent Sin has a lot of mechanics, but because the PSP version is pitifully easy, you don't use those mechanics. Fusion mechanics, the negotiation mechanics, and stuff like that, and even some of the items and equipment that much. Though equipment I think I did use. Eternal Punishment is like, Innocent Sin will give you tutorials. Eternal Punishment will be like, oh yeah, go play the game. And the game would be like, yeah, now we're not holding your hand. This is life and death. Play well. But because Innocent Sin wasn't there to help you, Eternal Punishment is like that dad, which is like, listen, son, either you do it or I'm going to get milk and never come back. Maybe. I don't know. Sorry about that. That example did not work. This is Classroom by a teacher that sucks, and this is the main example. Let's just talk about that. That is not... I'm going to ignore that definition. Let's go. But I think Eternal Punishment solidifies as the best Persona game. I think the characters are amazing. They could have done somewhat more with the characters from Innocent Sin, I feel like, with Aikichi, Jin. Yeah, Jin. Wait. Let's just check. No, it's Jun. Yeah, Jin sucks. Why did I... Yeah, Jun, Kurusu. Yeah. Okay. Oh, Kurusu is Kuro, right? Okay. Jin sucks. They could have added some like depth with Jun, Aikichi, and Lisa. They do try to do it with Jun and Aikichi. Lisa is just not there, I guess. But yeah, I think this is my list. Let's rank them, and I'll also rank them by story. Alright, I think this, I would rank them. By ranking, I usually do it in a sense that you can interchange some of these games. So like, if you want to say Golden is better than Eternal Punishment, or 1 is better than 2, you can just say that, I won't argue. But if you want to talk about 1 over Portable and Fest, then there's like solid analysis needed if you want to. And this is overall their rankings, and I would rank this as their stories. I do not want to put it on D because I don't think none of them suck, and I don't think they are C as well, but I'm putting them in a sense that this is better than this is better than this. I would say one more thing is... Oh, wait, what the hell? Wait, give me a moment, I messed up. Alright, here we are. Like, if you want to argue Royal over Fest, sure. I think Fest's story is really good, but Reload just adds a lot to it. I like their 2 stories. I like Kotone's edition. I think 1 story is really good. Characters need improvement. So you can just interchange these. These 2 are interchangeable, and this I think is the best. So, alright my Raandigars, hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, click on the bell. I'll see you guys next time with another Persona, Shin, Megami, Dragon Ball, Fairy Tail. You know what? Subscribe. I'm trying to get 1,000 subscribers. And in the comments below, list down your Persona games in order, mainline games, or any other if you want to add. I'm looking to stop recording. Bye.